As the massive, imposing fleet of the Galactic Empire entered the solar system, Earth's sky was filled with ships that seemed to stretch endlessly into the distance, their metallic hulls gleaming in the light of the distant sun. These ships were unlike anything humanity had ever seen, vast, sleek, and powerful, their technology far beyond anything on Earth. The Empire, known throughout the galaxy for its swift conquests and absolute dominance, had now set its sights on Earth. The Empire's representative, an envoy with a calm yet intimidating demeanor, transmitted a message to Earth's governments. The tone was clear. This was not an invasion, but an invitation to peacefully join the Empire, to become part of a galactic order that had swallowed countless worlds. Resistance is futile, the message said coldly. Surrender and prosper. At first, the world held its breath. Across every continent, people watched in awe and fear as the fleet hovered above their cities, casting long shadows over the land. Earth's military leaders scrambled, but there was little they could do. Humanity's weapons, even their most advanced ones, seemed insignificant compared to the might of the Empire. The situation quickly became clear. Earth was hopelessly outmatched. The governments of Earth, realizing the scale of the threat, activated their emergency protocols, preparing for the worst, hoping for the best. The military was put on high alert, and the leaders of the world met in secret to discuss their next move. But despite the overwhelming force that the Empire displayed, something strange began to stir within the people of Earth. It wasn't just fear or despair, it was defiance. Among the ordinary citizens, those who had no access to weapons or advanced technology, the anger started to grow. As the days passed, social media exploded with broadcasts and messages from people all over the world. Some were scared, some were angry, but many were resolute. "We will not be conquered," they said. "Earth belongs to us." It was a movement that started small, just a few scattered broadcasts here and there. Protests in cities had never known such unity, but it spread like wildfire. Within hours, millions of people were rallying in the streets, demanding that their leaders stand up to the Empire. They were not soldiers, but they were united by a shared belief that Earth was not some prize to be claimed by outsiders. They could not fathom surrendering their world to anyone, no matter how powerful they seemed. From the smallest villages to the towering metropolises, humans began to voice their defiance. A woman in Paris stood before a crowd of thousands, holding a sign that read, "We are not your property." In New York, a young man broadcasted a message to the entire world, "You can't take what belongs to us." Across the globe, the voice of humanity's resistance grew louder. The Empire, hearing these broadcasts, dismissed them at first. Their fleets had crushed every world they'd encountered. Who were these primitive creatures to challenge them? They believed the resistance was nothing more than a brief moment of defiance before humanity would inevitably bow. They sent a diplomat to Earth, confident that a few words would end the matter. The diplomat's message was simple: join us, or face the consequences. But the people of Earth weren't ready to submit. The message was clear, and it sent shockwaves throughout the planet. Earth was not going to lie down and be absorbed into an empire that had destroyed so many others. Governments debated, military leaders prepared, but the spark of resistance had already been lit among the people. The fate of Earth was no longer in the hands of a few generals or diplomats. It was in the hearts of every person who refused to kneel. As the diplomat's message echoed across the world, the people of Earth stood together, not as individuals, but as a united front, ready to defend their planet at all costs. They weren't sure how they would fight, or even if they could win, but one thing was certain: they were not going to be conquered without a fight. Earth's defiance had begun, and there was no turning back. The massive fleet of the Galactic Empire still loomed over Earth, its shadow stretching far across the planet. The tension in the air was thick as the Empire's diplomats arrived at a specially arranged summit. These diplomats, dressed in elegant robes and carrying the weight of centuries of conquests, were calm and confident. They had seen this scene play out countless times before. A new world, fearful and uncertain, would fall to their offers of peace, resources, and protection. The Empire had conquered thousands of planets, and Earth, with all its technology and defenses, would be no different. They'd promised humanity what seemed like a tempting deal: technological advancements beyond imagination, resources that would solve every problem, and the assurance of security within the Empire's vast reach. They assured Earth's leaders that this wasn't an invasion, merely a chance for them to join a larger, more prosperous galactic family. All they needed to do was surrender their autonomy. The message seemed simple: accept the Empire's terms and thrive. Refuse and face annihilation. The Earth's leaders gathered in a grand hall to meet the emissaries, and the tension was palpable. The weight of the decision bore down on them. The eyes of the world were upon them. The President of the United States, alongside leaders from other nations, sat at the head of the table. She had been briefed on the Empire's power, and yet she felt an unusual calm. Despite the overwhelming superiority of the Empire's technology, there was something burning in her chest, a fierce, unyielding sense of responsibility to protect her people, to protect Earth. As the diplomats laid out their offers with elegant speeches, promising endless resources and peace, the President listened carefully, her gaze unwavering. When they finished, she stood, her voice steady, though filled with a fire that was unmistakable. "Why must we submit to you?" she asked, looking directly at the lead diplomat, whose eyes had already begun to narrow. "Why must we surrender our independence to an outside force, no matter how powerful? Earth has survived on its own for millennia. Why would we let you claim us?" There was a pause, the room silent, as the diplomats exchanged glances. They had expected resistance, but not this level of defiance. "You misunderstand," the lead diplomat replied, his voice smooth and condescending. "This is not subjugation. This is an offer for you to join a superior civilization. You will benefit beyond measure from the Empire's technology. We ask for nothing but your loyalty, and in return, you will be protected, safeguarded against any other threats in the galaxy. Earth will flourish, just as every other world in the Empire has." But the President was not moved. Her gaze remained unwavering as she spoke again, each word deliberate and powerful. "We are not your property. We will not bow to anyone, no matter how mighty they are. We are humans, and our strength lies in our freedom. You want to bring your empire here. You will have to destroy us first." A murmur spread through the room. The diplomats were stunned. They had never encountered a species so willing to stand against them. This was not what they had expected. They had anticipated fear, perhaps a few protests, but never this level of resistance. The President continued, her voice growing stronger with each word. "We are not afraid of you. You will not claim Earth. We will not be slaves to your empire. If you wish to take us, you will have to fight for it, and we will give you everything we have to defend our freedom. Earth stands free, and we will not surrender." The Empire's diplomats were taken aback, unsure of how to respond. They had seen thousands of worlds fall with little more than a gesture. But humanity was different. Their courage was something the Empire had never encountered before, a kind of raw determination that no offer of peace or prosperity could break. The diplomats tried to maintain their composure, but it was clear that this was not going as they had planned. "You will regret this," the lead diplomat finally said, though there was uncertainty in his voice. "The Empire will not be denied." The President's eyes didn't falter. "We will see about that," she said. With one last look at the emissaries, she turned and left the room. The message had been delivered, loud and clear. Humanity was not going to roll over. Earth's independence would be defended, no matter the cost. The diplomats, now realizing the gravity of their mistake, exchanged uneasy glances. The spark of resistance had already been lit, and there was no turning back. The Empire may have been powerful, but humanity had something they could never understand: an unbreakable will to remain free. The Empire, stunned by Earth's refusal, was not accustomed to being defied. Its leaders, furious and determined to maintain their control, wasted no time in demonstrating the true extent of their power. A massive fleet of warships, each larger and more advanced than anything Earth had ever imagined, moved into orbit above the planet. The sheer size and firepower of the ships left no doubt that the Empire's wrath would be swift and overwhelming. These ships, equipped with weapons capable of destroying entire cities in the blink of an eye, hovered ominously in the sky. Their advanced technology dwarfed anything humanity had at its disposal, and the Empire was prepared to show the world just how quickly they could impose their will. In the cities below, panic began to spread as governments scrambled to respond. The media broadcasted the Empire's threat live, showing footage of the warships circling Earth like vultures, ready to strike at any moment. Citizens in every corner of the globe watched in fear as the ships positioned themselves for what seemed like an inevitable bombardment. The message from the Empire was clear: surrender now or face total destruction. World leaders gathered in emergency meetings, but the situation seemed hopeless. The human military, though determined, was no match for the Empire's advanced weaponry. The fear of annihilation hung heavily over every nation, and despite their courage, the chances of survival appeared slim. Yet, amidst this chaos, something extraordinary was happening. In a quiet research facility hidden deep within one of Earth's most secure locations, a group of scientists and military strategists were working tirelessly to understand the Empire's technology. They had studied every bit of data they could gather from the few moments of Empire contact, trying to find even the smallest vulnerability in the Empire's overwhelming power. Then, after weeks of analysis, they discovered something remarkable: an anomaly in the Empire's technology. The warship's weapons and defenses relied on a very specific energy signature. It was a pattern, one that, with the right resources, could be disrupted. The scientists had found that deep within Earth's core, there existed a unique form of energy that could match the Empire's energy signature, but at a far greater intensity. It was a form of power that, until now, had gone unnoticed by humanity. This energy, once harnessed, could disrupt the Empire's technology and give Earth a fighting chance. The discovery was nothing short of a miracle. A rapid team of engineers, physicists, and military leaders quickly began working to develop a way to harness this energy and use it against the Empire. They didn't have much time. The Empire was already preparing to strike, but for the first time since the invasion, there was a glimmer of hope. While the Empire's warships loomed above Earth, ready to unleash their devastating power, humanity's finest minds worked in secret to turn this newfound knowledge into a weapon. The pressure was immense, but the people of Earth refused to give up. The memory of the Empire's diplomats, their arrogant promises of control, fueled their determination. They weren't just fighting for survival, they were fighting for their freedom, for the very future of their world. As the warships in orbit began to power up their weapons, ready to reduce entire cities to rubble, Earth's leaders made the decision to act. The energy from Earth's core would be harnessed, and a counterattack was in the making. It was a long shot, and the stakes had never been higher, but the humanity that had been underestimated by the Empire was ready to strike back. For the first time since the Empire's arrival, the balance of power had shifted, if only slightly, in Earth's favor. The battle was far from over, but with this discovery, the Empire would learn just how resilient humanity truly was. The counteroffensive was coming, and it would be nothing like the Empire had ever faced before. After days of uncertainty and preparation, Earth finally made its move. The Empire's fleet loomed above, still hovering menacingly in orbit, waiting to strike. But beneath the surface of Earth, a different kind of battle was being waged. Human engineers, scientists, and military leaders had worked tirelessly to develop a counter-weapon using the newly discovered energy from Earth's core. It was an unprecedented challenge, trying to weaponize an energy source so powerful and volatile, but the urgency of the situation left them no choice. Underground facilities buzzed with activity as the engineers constructed devices designed to disrupt the Empire's advanced technology. They knew they didn't have much time, but the weapon was ready. It was risky. No one could be sure how the Empire would respond, or even if the weapon would work at all. But this was humanity's only chance. As the weapon was activated, a pulse of energy shot up into the sky, hitting the Empire's fleet with the force of a lightning strike. For a moment, nothing happened, and a sense of dread filled the hearts of those on the ground. Then, the impossible occurred. One by one, the Empire's ships began to shudder, their systems faltering. Communications cut out, engines sputtered, and their massive weapon systems went offline. The weapon had worked. For the first time, Earth had struck a blow against the Empire, and the tide of the battle was about to shift. But even as the Empire's fleet faltered, they were not yet defeated. They quickly regrouped, their massive warships beginning to power back up. They were prepared for resistance, but nothing could have prepared them for what came next. Out of the chaos of the disrupted fleet, a group of human pilots scrambled into their ships, ready to face the Empire head-on. They were a mismatched team, with some flying older, less advanced fighters and others piloting experimental models hastily prepared for battle. But what they lacked in technology, they made up for in determination. Led by Commander Rachel Cross, a seasoned pilot with a fierce reputation, they dove into the fray, engaging the Empire's warships in a fast-paced, high-risk dogfight. The Empire's ships were larger, faster, and more advanced, but the humans had something the Empire never anticipated: ingenuity. Rachel Cross and her team used their knowledge of the Empire's tactics to outmaneuver their larger foes. They flew in unpredictable patterns, taking advantage of every weakness they could exploit in the Empire's systems. With quick thinking and daring moves, they managed to destroy several of the Empire's warships. The battle was fierce and chaotic, with explosions lighting up the sky and the roar of laser fire filling the air. Each ship the humans destroyed sent shockwaves through the Empire's leadership, who had long since underestimated humanity's resolve. To them, Earth had always been a small, insignificant planet, its people nothing more than primitive creatures to be easily subdued. But now, as their ships fell one by one, the Empire was forced to reckon with the strength of the human spirit. This was no longer a one-sided war. The humans had fought back, and they had won. The Empire's leadership watched in disbelief as their fleet faltered. They had expected Earth to be crushed with a single show of force, not to rise up and fight back with everything they had. Panic spread among the Empire's high command. The humans had done the impossible. They had not only survived, they had won the first battle. This unexpected victory sent shockwaves through the Empire's ranks, sowing seeds of doubt and fear among those who had believed Earth would fall without a fight. The humans had proven that they were not to be underestimated. They had fought with everything they had, using their wits, their courage, and their will to protect their home. The Empire's arrogance had cost them dearly, and now, for the first time, they were on the back foot. As the dust settled and the surviving human pilots returned to base, the world erupted in a mix of disbelief and celebration. They had done it. They had struck back. The Empire's ships were no longer invincible, and Earth had shown the galaxy that it would not be conquered. This was just the beginning. The first major victory in Earth's defense had been won, but the war was far from over. As humans everywhere rallied to continue the fight, one thing was certain: the Empire had made a grave mistake. They had underestimated humanity, and now they would pay the price. As the Empire's fleet struggled to recover from the unexpected defeat, Earth stood tall, defiant, and unwavering. The small blue planet, once considered insignificant by the vast Empire, had become a symbol of resistance across the galaxy. News of humanity's triumph spread like wildfire, reaching the farthest corners of space. Rebel factions, scattered across countless worlds that had already fallen under the Empire's control, began to take notice. For the first time, they saw hope, a glimmer of rebellion that had not been seen for centuries. Inspired by the human defiance, these rebels, many of whom had fought for years under oppressive rule, began reaching out to Earth. They offered supplies, weapons, and most importantly, their support. They recognized that Earth had become a beacon of what was possible, proof that even the mightiest of empires could be challenged. The galaxy, once subdued by the Empire's iron grip, was awakening. But the Empire was not one to back down easily. Furious at the setbacks and unwilling to admit that they had underestimated humanity, the high command of the Empire doubled down. They called for an all-out assault, planning to crush Earth once and for all. Their ships were prepared to bombard the planet into submission, to wipe out the human resistance in a single overwhelming blow. Yet, with every move they made, with every attempt to push Earth back, they only made the resistance stronger. The more the Empire tried to break humanity, the more determined the people became. Underground movements, once small and fragmented, began to grow in strength and number. They spread across continents, organizing, rallying, and creating networks of resistance fighters. From the shadows, Earth's defense force started to become a well-oiled machine, coordinated and focused, ready to defend their planet from the next wave of Empire forces. Human ingenuity became the cornerstone of the war effort. With limited resources and technology, Earth's fighters had learned to make the most of what they had. They repurposed old weapons, developed makeshift armor, and created innovative tactics that caught the Empire off guard. Even as the Empire's forces loomed above, Earth's people managed to turn the odds in their favor, using their creativity to strike back with precision. The once scattered resistance movements, fueled by the belief that they could win, now began to operate with military coordination. On Earth and beyond, groups of rebels, people who had never met but shared a common cause, joined forces. They began launching coordinated strikes on Empire-controlled planets, disrupting supply lines, sabotaging key installations, and showing the Empire that their dominance was no longer guaranteed. These attacks were small at first, but they added up. The Empire, already stretched thin, began to feel the pressure. As the human resistance grew more organized, their influence spread across the galaxy. The Empire's hold on its conquered worlds began to loosen, as more and more planets saw Earth's example and rose up in defiance. The once feared Empire now found itself fighting battles on multiple fronts, with rebels from dozens of worlds striking at its heart. What had started as a fight for Earth's survival had now become a full-scale rebellion. Earth was no longer alone. Rebel leaders from all over the galaxy communicated with Earth's resistance leaders, exchanging information, resources, and strategies. The coordinated attacks on Empire-controlled worlds were not random. They were part of a larger plan to take the fight to the Empire's core, to disrupt their ability to control the galaxy. Every battle fought by the resistance on other planets was a blow to the Empire's control, a reminder that the Empire could not hold its ground forever. But the more the rebels succeeded, the more desperate the Empire became. The High Command scrambled to find a way to restore order, to crush the uprising before it spread too far. Their rage at the human resistance grew, but it was clear. Earth was no longer the weak, defenseless planet they thought it was. The Empire had made a fatal mistake in underestimating humanity's spirit. As Earth's defense force grew stronger and the resistance spread throughout the galaxy, the Empire faced a question it had never anticipated. Could they crush this rebellion, or had they awakened something they could never destroy? The Empire, shaken by the relentless resistance and the growing rebellion across the galaxy, knew that its grip on the universe was slipping. With each passing day, Earth's defiance grew stronger, its alliances expanded, and the resolve of the human race became something the Empire could no longer ignore. The once confident rulers of the Empire, who had believed that one decisive strike would end the rebellion, now faced the possibility of losing everything. In their desperation, they resorted to the ultimate weapon in their arsenal, a planet-destroying superlaser capable of wiping Earth off the map in an instant. This weapon, hidden on one of their largest battle stations, was the Empire's final solution. With it, they will erase the problem of Earth's resistance forever, leaving nothing behind but rubble. No more soldiers, no more rebels, just the cold void of space. It was the Empire's last hope, and they were willing to destroy an entire planet to restore their dominance. As the superlaser powered up, the Empire's fleet moved into position, surrounding Earth in a deadly ring. The people of Earth, however, were not paralyzed by fear. The rebels, bolstered by the bravery of humans and their newfound extraterrestrial allies, prepared to face the most desperate fight of their lives. Earth's defense force, now better equipped and more organized than ever before, stood ready. The underground resistance, the military, and the coalition of rebel factions all gathered, united by a singular purpose: to protect their home, no matter the cost. The Empire had underestimated humanity's unity, and now the final showdown was imminent. On the surface, Earth's cities buzzed with a mix of anxiety and determination. Citizens of all ages, from children to the elderly, took to the streets to show their solidarity. It wasn't just the soldiers and the fighters who were ready to battle, it was everyone. The spirit of unity that had carried humanity this far was stronger than any weapon the Empire possessed. In homes, classrooms, and workplaces, people came together, vowing to stand firm against the overwhelming might of the Empire. It was a rallying cry that transcended borders, a collective strength that bound humanity in a shared fight for survival. The Empire had come to Earth expecting easy victory, but they hadn't accounted for the indomitable will of its people. As Earth's fleet assembled in orbit, ready to face the full might of the Empire's forces, the planet's defenders knew they were facing their greatest challenge. The superlaser, capable of obliterating entire cities with a single blast, was the Empire's last weapon, but it was also their greatest weakness. Humanity had learned from their past victories, and the Empire's overconfidence had created cracks in its armor. The final battle would not be won through superior firepower alone, but through the unity, ingenuity, and heart of those who fought for Earth. In the depths of space, Earth's fleet prepared for the ultimate confrontation. The battle stations hummed with activity as every fighter, every ship, and every pilot knew that this would be the fight that determined the fate of their world. The rebels, now united under a common banner, had brought their own fleet to support Earth's forces. They had fought for years under the Empire's heel, and now they had their chance to strike back. The sheer size of the Empire's fleet was daunting, but humanity's forces had something the Empire could never replicate: a shared purpose and an unyielding spirit. As the final moments approached, Commander Rachel Cross, the leader of Earth's most elite squadron, gathered her team. Their mission was clear: destroy the superlaser, or Earth would fall. But the task was monumental, the stakes higher than any of them had ever faced. Still, in their eyes there was no doubt. They would not let Earth be destroyed. They would fight, and they would win. The Empire's fleet loomed closer, its superlaser now fully charged, casting a menacing shadow over the planet. The countdown to destruction had begun, but even in the face of overwhelming odds, humanity stood ready. The final battle for Earth had begun, and this time, the Empire's arrogance would be their downfall. Earth's defenders were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for their very existence, and they would not go quietly into the night. The ultimate showdown was here, and humanity was ready to prove that no force in the galaxy could crush their spirit. The final battle for Earth had arrived, and the stakes could not have been higher. Earth's forces, a mixture of the brave human defense and their rebel allies, had launched a daring strike on the heart of the Empire's power, the flagship that commanded the superlaser, the weapon capable of annihilating the planet in one devastating blow. As the massive ship loomed above Earth, its weapon powered up, the countdown to humanity's extinction ticking away with each passing second. But Earth's defenders were not intimidated. They knew that if they could destroy the flagship, they could disable the superlaser and turn the tide of the war once and for all. In a coordinated strike that would go down in history, the human forces launched a full-scale assault on the Empire's flagship. It was a desperate move, knowing the Empire's superior firepower and advanced technology would make it nearly impossible to succeed. But with everything on the line, Earth's forces fought with unparalleled bravery. Commander Rachel Cross, leading the charge, guided her squadron through the chaos of space combat, weaving through enemy fire with the precision of a veteran pilot. The battle was fierce, explosions lighting up the dark void of space, but the human resolve was stronger than the Empire had anticipated. At the crucial moment, a precise strike from Earth's forces disabled the superlaser just as it was about to fire, rendering it useless. The Empire's flagship, crippled and unable to retaliate, became a symbol of their failing power. With the superlaser disabled, Earth's resistance forces launched their final attack. The human fighters, fueled by their unity and unwavering determination, overwhelmed the Empire's remaining fleet. The once feared invaders, their ships now outmaneuvered and overpowered by Earth's newfound strength, began to retreat. The might of the Empire had been shattered in a matter of hours, their once iron grip on the galaxy slipping away. The Empire had underestimated the resilience of humanity, and now they were paying the price. For the first time, the galaxy saw what Earth was truly capable of, and the tide of the war had irrevocably turned in humanity's favor. As the Empire's fleet withdrew into the shadows, retreating to lick its wounds and regroup, Earth stood victorious. The rebellion that had begun as a whisper of defiance had become a force that would forever change the balance of power in the galaxy. The President of the United States, standing on the steps of the world's capital, addressed the people of Earth and the watching galaxy. The voice that echoed across the planet was filled with a mix of pride and defiance. "We are not your property," she declared, her words ringing through every broadcast system. "We will never bow. The galaxy now knows what humanity stands for." As the word spread, the galaxy watched in awe. The once conquered planet, Earth, had risen up and defeated the most powerful empire the universe had ever seen. The Empire, which had thought Earth was just another easy target, was now a shadow of its former self, forced to retreat into the darkness. Humanity had proved that they could not be conquered, that their spirit was unbreakable, and that no matter how powerful an enemy seemed, they would always rise to defend what was theirs. Earth's message was loud and clear, echoing across the stars: "You are not welcome here." In the aftermath of the victory, Earth stood tall, united, and free. The planet had not only reclaimed its independence, but had also earned the respect of the galaxy. The Empire, once a symbol of ultimate power, was now a fading memory. Earth's victory had sparked a revolution, and the message it sent was clear: humanity would never be subjugated, and they would fight for their freedom with every ounce of strength they had. The galaxy now knew that Earth was not just a planet to be conquered, it was a force to be reckoned with. The victory marked the dawn of a new era, one where Earth's place in the galaxy would no longer be determined by those who sought to dominate it, but by the people who had fought to protect it. The story of Earth's resistance would inspire generations to come, a tale of strength, unity, and the unyielding will to be free.